Hey, BCista here, and welcome to Season 8 of the VDL. This is going to be Week 1. This week we're playing against Otto, the two-time VDL champ and coach of the Tricksy Treeckos. And here we can see the matchup. So looking at their team, that we definitely have some concerning Pokemon. Namely, I am very concerned about Blaziken and Corviknight. So the big problem with Blaziken is that it pretty much threatens to one-shot almost every Pokemon on my team, especially with some, like slight chip from a partner Pokemon. And in addition to that, if it's able to get some speed boosts, it outspeeds my entire team, and I don't really have a great way to deal with that if they do something like Protect turn 1, and then turn 2 maybe Fake Out or follow me with Clefable or stuff like that. And so it can very quickly, get out of hand. And in addition to that, worst case or best case scenario for me, it pretty much gets one or two kills and then I kill it. And so that's definitely very concerning. In addition to that, Corviknight is a concerning Pokemon. It's, steel type Pokemon that has Roost to get rid of its, ice neutral and its electric weakness. I don't have great damage into it or great ways to kind of like one shot or do massive damage outside of specifically Darmanitan with Flare Blitz. Other than that, Otto's team is just generically pretty powerful with Thunderous, which could be there for prankster support, Mr. Mime for fake out and reasonable damage, and then Clefable, which could be both a good support mon or a good offensive mon. So going here, we see this is the team I decided to go with. So we start with Weavile. I decided to run Feint on Weavile, specifically with the hope that I can kill Blaziken that tries to Protect on turn 1 to get a speed boost up. In addition, I decided to run King's Rock on it with Fling to get some guaranteed flinches. And in addition to that, Triple Axle with King's Rock has a pretty good chance to flinch if it hits with all three of its triple axles. And so that's kind of the idea with the Weavile. And in addition to that, I wanted Ninetales to run the Focus Sash, which is another reason why I ran King's Rock. So Ninetales, I just ran Moonblast on Blizzard. It hits pretty much everything on the team for at least neutral, and then Encore just kind of a support, namely to hit Corviknight because if Corviknight tries to set up, I can deal with it. We got the Mr. Mime with Fake Out and Ockaberry with Thunderbolt and Psychic, which hits their entire team for at least neutral. The Ockaberry is to guarantee survive an attack from Blaziken, and then Trick Room just for speed control purposes, especially if they're able to get a couple of speed boosts off the Blaziken or able to get like a Tailwind off with the Corviknight. Next, we have the Glastrier. Glastrier, I have Life Orbs, so I can guarantee one-shot a Clefable with Heavy Slam that's not Battery Berry, and guarantee one-shot a Blaziken with high horsepower that's not Shukaberry. In addition to that, Glastrier is just very bulky, can take hits from most things, and dish out huge damage, especially if I have Fake Out support. Arctivish with Mystical Water, just to get massive damage with the Vicious Rend, and in Hell I should outspeed everything on their team. Then we just have Icicle Crash and Crunch just for some damage. The Icicle Crash just for Pokemon that water coverage not great for, and then Crunch specifically for water absorb Vaporeon. And then finally we have Choice Scarf Darmanitan, which is pretty standard with Flare Blitz, Icicle Crash, U-turn, and I decided to go with Earthquake instead of Zen Headbutt to hit Blaziken. This is mainly to this is mainly for follow me on the Clefable purposes. There's definitely an argument that Zen Headbutt's better, but I decided to go with that. And so with that, let's get into the match. So here we are for game 1. So look at my opponent's team. They have a lot of the Pokemon I was expecting to see. One of the Pokemons I wasn't particularly expecting too much to see was Seeking. However, there weren't too many other options that I was that concerned about. And so with them kind of having that, I decided to kind of lean towards my main game plan, which was Weavile Darmanitan lead. with Mr. Rhyme and Glassstrew in the back. So the idea behind this is I have fake up pressure and then massive damage output on Darmanitan. In addition, I can U-turn out so that I have the ability to switch into one of my bulkier Pokemon, because Mr. Rhyme and Glassstrew are my two bulky Pokemon. And then if they are able to get some sort of speed control, I can set up Trick Room with Mr. Mime. And even not, both of these can take pretty good hits and, have good longevity. And so with that, let's get into the match. So they lead Blaziken and Clefable, and I lead the Weavile and Darmanitan. So here I very much want to kill this Blaziken. It's going to help me greatly. And so I kind of immediately go for the hard read of Feint and Earthquake, try to get the kill on Blaziken to get some good damage into Clefable. This is I probably should have thought a little bit more. I could see justification to fake out the Clefable and Earthquake, for example, and be a little bit less hard to read, or I could even fake out Blaziken and like Icicle Crash into Clefable or something like that, and to play around the Protect there. However, I went for the hard read. And they end up switching out Blaziken out into the Corviknight, which ends up being the worst case scenario for my first turn, because we end up fainting into a resisted Mon, so it does very little damage, and the Earthquake ends up missing the Corviknight because it's in the air, and Earthquake ends up doing not even that much damage to Clefable, revealing that Clefable ends up being quite defensively bulky, and the Flamethrower is able to finish off the Weavile. And so this ends up being a worst case scenario turn one. Obviously it looks bad in hindsight, but if they just decide to attack with Blaziken, or if they decide to protect and then the following turn attack with Blaziken, it could be really awkward. And so I think there's some justification for my play, but I definitely think it was a little bit, massively hurt me. And, if I'd faked out into Clefable instead, maybe I'm in a lot better position. But here, I definitely feel I have to switch out the Darmanitan, and that's kind of the only real option I can, because I'm locked into the Earthquake. And so we end up bringing out the Glassstrew, and we're able to get a fake out to just minimize the damage a little bit of these Pokemon, and Corviknight is able to get its bulk up off, which definitely is pretty awkward. So here I kind of just decided that to do a little damage into the Corviknight and try to get the kill on the Clefable. The idea to get a little bit of damage into Corviknight is, after, light Thunderbolt damage, I think Flare Blitz should be able to kill the Corviknight. And as I think I said in my team check, Gyro Ball should always kill Clefable if it's not Babri Berry. So here they actually reveal that they are the Mangarga Berry, which increases its special defense, which is really awkward. And the Iron Head at +1 ends up doing massive damage to Mr. Rhyme. And so definitely in pretty bad shape here. However, we are able to get the Heavy Slam into the Clefable, and they do reveal that they are the Babri Berry, which ends up making me not be able to get the kill, which is a little bit awkward. So here I decide to just go for the kill on the Clefable and go for the Protect on the Glassstrew, and with the plan to get Darmanitan back out and just accept that Mr. Rhyme dies here. And so we get the Protect off, and Mr. Rhyme, is faster than both these Pokemon, and the Psychic is able to kill the Clefable. And so here, like I said, I'm just kind of hoping that Mr. Rhyme dies to get a free switch in. I end up not getting that free switch in, which is honestly a little bit awkward. And they are able to get another bulk up into the Corviknight. So yeah, definitely a good play on their side to not kill my Mr. Rhyme. But here, Blaziken just comes back out, and so here I just go for the Psychic, which killed the Blaziken. And the big question is basically, should I go for the double Protect, or should I, just try to get a little damage? And so I decided to just go for a little bit of damage. Definitely a little bit, just I can see justification to not do that. And so here they reveal the Protect, which is not too bad for me, but they are able to kill Mr. Rhyme, which is pretty annoying, but I successfully only lost one Pokemon because if Blaziken just attacked, I think they could easily have gotten the double knockout, which probably would have locked up the game. But now, because they didn't get the double knockout, I do have some hope in my mind. But I am able to get pretty good damage with the Icicle Spear into the Corviknight. And so here I bring out the Darmanitan. And so Darmanitan, actually, because the sun is up, has the ability to one-shot most Blazikens with a Flare Blitz. And so Flare Blitz is actually a pretty safe move. And in addition to that, I should outspeed Blaziken here, and Blaziken ends up... yeah, I should outspeed Blaziken here. However, I think I misplay. I definitely should have Flare Blitz into the Blaziken spot, because if Blaziken just kills my Glastrier here, I'm in pretty bad shape. And so instead I went for the Corviknight, and with that I kind of been able to get, one shot by my because the sun is up before I was able to hit the Blaziken with the high horsepower, and I end up losing. There's a very little chance that I win that game even with the optimal play, but the optimal play was Flare Blitz, Blaziken, and Icicle Spear the Corviknight. With a little bit of luck, I might have been able to kill with the Corviknight there, and maybe had a chance depending on what's in the back. But with that, I end up losing a game one. So here for game two. So game one, honestly, I don't think was too bad. The only other than turn one, and I think a slight misplay on the last turn of the game, I think I was actually not in pretty good shape. So I decided to go with the same 4 Pokemon. I considered leading the Glastrier, but I decided that it's just optimal to go with the exact same lead in the exact same 4. Because I think that, I could definitely win that. And in addition, if they try to switch anything up, I feel pretty good about it. So with that, let's get into the game. So they switched it up quite a bit and lead Vaporeon and Uxie. And I lead the Weavile Darmanitan again. And so here, honestly speaking, I'm not offensively threatened by either of these Pokemon, but Vaporeon has Yawn, so I decided to fake out into that spot and then U-turn into the Uxie to save my Darmanitan, and also that does a little bit over 50% into Uxie based on my damage calcs previously. And so I get a fake out, which does pretty good damage into this, and the U-turn does a little bit over 50%, and I'm able to save Darmanitan in the back and get a free switch into Mr. Rhyme, which allows me to have fake out the following turn. And so they end up just setting up Stealth Rocks, which honestly I'm not that concerned with. Obviously, it's going to do pretty good damage with any switch-ins, and so I should be a little bit careful with switch-ins. However, I took no damage at all turn 1, and I'm able to get another fake out in and triple axle, which should do very good damage and possibly even kill the Uxie from here. And the fake out just goes back into the Vaporeon, preventing it from doing anything for another turn. So they withdraw the Uxie into a Clefable, which honestly is not too bad. So with this, we get the fake out into the Vaporeon and the triple axle into the Fable. Sadly, I miss after my first hit, which is pretty annoying because if I actually was able to hit all 3 triple axles, another triple axle would threaten to actually kill the Clefable this turn. However, now triple axle is nowhere close to threatening, and so all I can do is basically just get a little bit of damage. And so I decided to go with the Thunderbolt into the Vaporeon and the triple axle into the Clefable. So we get the triple axle off this time, and we luckily get all 3 hits, and it goes a little bit above 50% of the HP into the Clefable, and the Thunderbolt does pretty good damage in the Vaporeon. Vaporeon is able to get a Scald off into the Weavile, but Weavile is able to take it, and they reveal to be Life Orb on the Vaporeon, and they get a Sunny Day off, which honestly is not that big of a deal, because I don't expect to do any water coverage this game, and the only fire coverage I'm really expecting is from Blaziken. And so here I decided between Fling and Triple Axle. And so the idea is I can Fling Vaporeon, make sure it can't attack in case it has something like Weather Ball, and then I can then Thunderbolt or Psychic and try to get the kill on Vaporeon here. And so I decided to, fling into the Vaporeon spot to try to get a flinch, and then just do a little bit of damage with Mr. Rhyme, since I probably don't kill either of these mons. However, they follow me this turn, which I probably should have expected, and if I would have tripled Axel, I think I would have been in a lot better shape. But instead, I fling, and the fling does very minimal damage, and I waste my item, and the flinch doesn't really matter because of the follow me already occurred. However, I am able to get a Psychic and the Special Defense drop, but the Special Defense drop doesn't matter too much, and the Fable here dies. So with the Wish revealed, which is definitely a surprise, I decided to just go for the read that they're not going to follow me again, and just go for a Feint into the Vaporeon spot and a Thunderbolt. The Feint and Thunderbolt double up should kill the Vaporeon from this range, and if they don't follow me, it's a kill on Vaporeon no matter what Vaporeon does. And so they need to protect and follow me for Vaporeon not to die, and or the Wish kind of ends up being wasted. And so they end up protecting with the Vaporeon. And the Feint goes into the Vaporeon spot, breaking the Protect, doing some damage to it. However, they do end up follow me, so they end up getting the Wish off for the Vaporeon. Not the end of the world, but definitely, definitely a good play on their side if they wanted to save the Vaporeon, which they did. And so with the Wish, they're able to get up to, about 75% HP, making the Vaporeon notably harder for me to kill. So they bring out the Uxie, and so here I feel like Triple Axle, if I hit all three, likely kills Uxie. So I decided to just go for the Triple Axle there and the Thunderbolt onto the Vaporeon. There's a chance that 2 Thunderbolts kill Vaporeon, especially with Life Orb chip, and so I think that that's the idea behind this. So here we end up getting a triple hit into the Uxie with Triple Axle. However, it just misses out on the KO. So maybe I could have doubled up there. However, all they do is Calm Mind, which is not that big of a deal because I can just kill them next turn with the Weavile if it survives, or with Darmanitan if it doesn't survive. And the Thunderbolt does pretty good damage. However, with the Life Orb, I'm not 100% convinced that it's going to kill, but it's not the end of the world because here we are able to we're still in a pretty good position, and Uxie's in very low HP. And so here, the obvious play is just to bring out Darmanitan. So here, Darmanitan guarantees outspeeds both of these Pokemon and threatens to kill both of these Pokemon. So the main question is, what move do I want to lock into? Depends on the Pokemon in the back. With the Sun Up, Flare Blitz does more than pretty much anything. And so I can see justification to Flare Blitz instead of any of the other moves. And so in addition to that, Thunderbolt should kill both of these Pokemon from this range, and so I decided to lock into Flare Blitz and also go for Thunderbolt because I believe this should be a double knockout. And they end up protecting the Vaporeon, which is not that big of a deal, and the Flare Blitz is able to go into the Uxie spot, which the reason why I went into the Uxie spot instead of the Vaporeon spot is because Darmanitan outspeeds Uxie here, and the Thunderbolt gets blocked by the Protect. So at this point, I don't think there's any Pokemon they can have in the back that lets them win this game. However, the Sun going away does mean that Blaziken shouldn't be killed by a Flare Blitz. And they do reveal to be Blaziken here. And so here I decided to just go with the Flare Blitz into the Vaporeon because I believe that should kill Vaporeon. And I decided to set up a Trick Room in order to play to basically guarantee the win, because I have Glacier in the back, and it should be able to kill Blaziken in the back when Trick Room's up. And the Flare Blitz ends up killing the Vaporeon, which is nice, and we're able to get a clean Trick Room up and punish their defensive protect. And so now, the game's pretty much over. I just need to, double attack and then get Glacier in if either of these Pokemon die. And so we just go for the Flare Blitz into Blaziken and the Psychic onto the Blaziken as well. And the Psychic ends up doing just barely not killing. And the Heat Wave here ends up killing the Darmanitan and does not even get close to killing the Mr. Rime because of my Aqua Berry. But with this, we do sadly reveal the Aqua Berry was a little bit awkward. However, the only chance they even have is to get like a triple protect here. And even if they get a triple protect, I don't think Heat Wave actually kills either or both of these Pokemon. So we're pretty much guaranteed win. And so here we just go with the 100% accurate moves, an Icicle Spear and Psychic. And they're just going to go for, protect to, get stalled some turns, try to get like a triple protect and then like a double crit. And so here, like I said, we just finish it up by clicking all of our 100% accurate moves. And, the game is pretty much locked up here. So they go for the double protected Fells, which, like I said, I'm not even convinced if they got the triple protect, which is what they needed, they would have an out. With that, we were able to get a pretty clean Game 2 win. And I'm feeling pretty happy about that. And so with that, let's get into Game 3. So here we are for Game 3. And so the big question is do I want to mix up my lead at all? Because, as I said, or the first two games I kind of had the same lead. And so I'm 100% sure I want to lead Weavile. And so I'm just debating on whether or not I want, something like Arctivish and Ninetales. And I decide to lean towards the Weavile Ninetales lead with Arctivish in the back and Darmanitan. I definitely don't know what the logic was around this. I think Mr. Rime was very good. And so definitely a little awkward not to have it in Game 3. Glacier has been okay, not super exciting, but it was pretty good. I feel like, I kind of just wanted to mix it up and hope that it worked out. And, I didn't really have too much logic behind it. And I was just hopefully it works. Let's see. So my opponent leads Clefable Blaziken, which is definitely a concerning lead. And I lead the Weavile and Ninetales. And so we get the Hell Up, which is pretty nice at dealing a little bit of damage. But here, I 100% want to fake out something. The question is it Blaziken or Clefable? I decided to go with the Clefable in case they go for a Protect on Blaziken, and I just go for the Blizzard instead of something like Moonblast into Blaziken. Obviously this is playing around Blaziken protecting. And however, Blaziken doesn't protect, and we do fake out the Clefable, and we get a Blizzard off, which does reasonable damage to Clefable, not great damage into the Blaziken. However, Blaziken's able to get a free Heat Wave off, which kills the Weavile and brings Ninetales down to Focus Sash. And here we are in an amazingly terrible position after turn 1 because I didn't fake out the Blaziken instead. However, the problem was even if I faked out the Blaziken, it would be in pretty good shape because it wouldn't have taken that much damage. And so I definitely would have needed to something like Fake Out and Moonblast, and however that gets massively punished by a Protect. And so this is one of the downsides of the Ninetales and Weavile lead, because if I led something like Darmanitan like I did in Game 1, I could threaten both of them, and Blaziken would definitely feel the need to switch out. So here, I debate between just going for the Earthquake. However, it seems very likely that they're just going to protect with the Blaziken, so I just go for the Icicle Crash into the Clefable, and also go for a and I'm also like debating between a Blizzard and a Moonblast. The Blizzard, punishes, can do a little bit of damage into these and finish up some of these. Decided to go for the Moonblast in case Blaziken doesn't go for the Protect. However, Blaziken does go for the Protect as I expected. And the problem with, them leading it and me not having Darmanitan is now, after this turn, the Blaziken is going to outspeed my Darmanitan and I don't threaten it, which is very awkward. and this definitely notably puts me in a terrible position, and I don't think there's a great way for me to get out of this because Blaziken is now outspeeds my entire team, and there's no way for me to do anything about it because I have no more fake out because I didn't bring Mr. Rhyme here, and they are able to get 2 speed boosts, and that guarantee outspeeds my team. So I definitely feel pretty bad about my lead. I don't know if my play turn 1 was necessarily bad. I think obviously I could have gone in, hardcore and faked out Moonblast into the Blaziken spot with the hope of trying to get a kill on it. And it might have killed, but obviously that gets massively punished by just them protecting. And so now there's not much for me to do except just, try to go for an Icicle Crash. And here I decided to go for Protect instead of another attack, hoping that maybe bringing Arctifish out can do something. Also, since they've been clicking Heat Wave, there's definitely some outs just from them missing Heat Wave. Because at any point if they miss a Heat Wave, I definitely think that I could win this game. So I go for the Protect on the Ninetales. And the Blaziken does go for a Heat Wave. However, it does not miss, and it connecting ends up killing the Darmanitan. Like I said, if that Heat Wave missed, I believe the Icicle Crash would kill the Blaziken there, and then I would be in pretty reasonable shape, honestly. But now I'm in pretty bad shape, and I just need to hope that my opponent misplays, or I get really lucky with something like Heat Wave. And so here we just bring out the Arctivish. So the Arctivish does threaten to one-shot the Blaziken, and does threaten to do massive damage into the Corviknight. However, obviously, Blaziken outspeeds and threatens to kill either of these Pokemon. And so there's not much for me to do other than just Blizzard and Vicious Rend, hope that they miss a Heat Wave, or they don't have a fighting move, or they make some sort of misplay. Which is not super likely because Auto's great. So they end up protecting the Blaziken, which definitely makes sense. It's not too surprising, and the Vicious Rend ends up being blocked, and the Blizzard ends up doing not bad damage into the Corviknight. However, not particularly good, and it gets a special defense boost, which means that there's really no way I can kill Corviknight without the Arctivish. And then my Ninetales goes away, so now it's a 3v1. So here there's not much for me to do except just hope that somehow my opponent does terribly bad decisions and I get really lucky. And so here I decide to just go for the Vicious Rend into the Blaziken again, hopefully to get at least 1 kill before I die. And so they end up switching out, however, Blaziken into the Uxie. And I'm assuming this is, probably playing around the trying to get, the last turn of Hell so they can, just kill it a little bit. And also just, get a little bit of extra chip. And so this is the last turn of Hell. And so now, I'm not going to outspeed anything, or I'm not going to outspeed Uxie or Blaziken. And so there's not much for me to do here except just, maybe try to get a little bit of extra damage. Definitely the game is pretty much over, but I just go for crunch here. So definitely it was a good prep on my opponent's side. I think Otto did really well, and I definitely got punished for some of my decisions. And mainly turn 1 of game 1 and turn 1 of game 3. I think massively punished me. However, I think my biggest complaint with myself is my decision to switch up my plan. I feel like if I would have just led the exact same way game 3 that I did game 1 and 2, I think I might have had a good chance to win this game. Because I think game 1, if instead of fainting into the Blaziken, if I would have just faked out into the Clefable spot, I think I would have actually been in pretty good shape. I think that was my biggest issue. And so I definitely think that that's kind of my takeaway is that I kind of just switched up just to switch up, and I didn't really have a clear reason behind it. And I think that definitely led to, a very convincing win of them game 3. in addition to, you know, me kind of going for, you know, a play turn game one of the final game, and them completely punishing it by just not protecting with Blaziken and getting a free heat wave off. And from there, I pretty much had no way to win the game. And so, you know, the game, this set ended up being pretty close, but it definitely, I think, turn one plays on game 1 and 3 are my, you know, biggest issues with my play, and then I think a little bit of misplay in game 1 as well. But with that, that's week 1. You know, we ended up getting a loss, but we had a pretty okay showing, and I definitely think I showed some of the strengths of the team. And with that, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed.